We're grateful for who God is. That list of names given, holy and mighty and all of that, that's just the beginning of things. When Jesus was jousting with the Pharisees, Jesus made it clear to them that when you start talking about me, you're talking about something that surpasses Abraham. Because before Abraham was, he said, my name is I am. In other words, when you open up the book to look at all of the good things that a person can possibly be, mighty and triumphant and awesome and holy, he says that that's just the beginning of it. He had to close the
Who am I, America? To most, I'm Jay Gathers. To others, I'm Christian hip hop artist 4G. I grew up in a small town referred to as Apalachicola, Florida. And I grew up in a family that was comprised of, obviously my mother, and I had 4 sisters. I was actually the only son in that particular household. I did also have 3 stepbrothers from my father. He was actually a resident of a neighboring town about 50 miles away called Port St. Joe, Florida. And so the early years were extremely difficult. There was a lot of family dysfunction going on. I mean, I grew up, with an alcoholic mother and father, and that led to my siblings and I to be placed in and out of foster care. We even passed around from time to time to other family members. Raised by a combination of my maternal grandmother and her sister. And the early years were extremely, extremely difficult. Early in life, I grew up. I was a bookworm, and I actually loved school. And there were individuals and places in my life during that particular time that saw interest in me for a few different reasons or another. But one of the primary reasons was I was extremely gifted with my hands, and one of the God-given gifts that God actually had given me at the time was the ability to draw. And so I actually I was well known throughout the town for that particular reason. And I actually drew the alma mater for our high school. We were referred to as the Chapman Wildcats. And it's my understanding, that they actually, kept that alma mater around until they, dismantled the school, many years later. But like I said, because of the God-given ability that I had, it was a lot of teachers and, so forth that in the community that took interest in, just wanted me to succeed. That's one thing that I do appreciate about the community that I grew up in. We were very close-knit, and the people looked out for the people. And I remember one of my science teachers, his name was Charles Watson, and I'll never forget, I must have been in, 7th, 8th grade back then. And I remember him coming to my grandmother's house at the time. I was living with her. And he said to her, if he graduates high school, I'll see to it that he gets to college. And during that particular time, also myself, along with a lot of other students who were deemed, gifted. I remember we used to go down to FAMU during the summers to participate in this program called Upward Bound. And those are the good old days there, bro. One of the things that did for me personally is it taught me to believe in myself early on. I knew that I had a lot of potential, But I cannot honestly say that at this particular time I knew how much potential I had, because just, my mental mindset just wasn't as advanced as it is now. But I thank God for those individuals that He placed in my life back then. Because, like I said, we went through some, my sisters and I, we went through some very difficult times. One of the most traumatic things that I remember happening to me in the early years was I was actually molested at age 10. And that was a memory that I suppressed for years. Many years later, I remember my mother and I, we actually we talked about it. She said I told her about what happened, but I don't remember having that discussion with her or anybody else. I mean, it's one of the things that I was extremely embarrassed about, humiliated behind the whole nine. I mean, the list goes on and on. But what that did for me during that particular time in my life was it put me in a posture to where I didn't trust anyone. I mean, I didn't trust anyone. And that carried over into my adulthood. And I think when it came to people trying to get to know me or trying to figure me out, they didn't understand. They had no clue about the things that I had encountered. But I was in this shell. I mean, here it is, my parents, I loved them, but in a funny kind of way also. I mean, I was kind of embarrassed too, I mean, I remember going to visit my father down in Port St. Joe some weekends, and I just remember he'll be laying up under a tree with, a few of his friends, just sloppy drunk. And at one point during one of these visits, he actually denied. He said I wasn't even his son. And the ironic thing is, I mean, I look just like him, man. Before his demise some years ago, but I'm not sure if any of you all have gone through that type of experience, that, especially as a black male, but for your biological father to deny you, it had me in a place where I was, questioning just who I was as an individual. I mean, because I had his DNA, but here it is. This man said I wasn't his, so that was the first form of rejection that I remember encountering. And let's tie that together with what I said earlier about the fact that my trust had already been broken because, like I said, I dealt with the unfortunate event of being molested at age 10 by this guy in the community that I just thought he was a nice guy, giving me toys and things because at home, like I said, we grew up poor, and my parents, I wasn't getting, remember a lot of Christmases just really not hardly getting anything, and so you gotta understand for a child my age, I mean that was appeasing, it was appealing, and unfortunately, I got taken advantage of. And so, here it is. My biological father is has rejected me, and I'm getting further and further in this place I refer to as just void. I mean, just like I remember just certain parts of my life just being like numb, just trying to figure things out. I was on the outside, I was a very friendly and bubbly person, but on the inside, I'm just a mess. And it takes me back to, like I said, the individuals that God had placed in my life at that particular time. They must have had a sixth sense where they did recognize that obviously some things was going on with me, whereas even though I never verbalized it, because I was just kind of distant and I had, just kind of shut down in one form or another. I mean, I guess anybody that really had your best interest in mind, they would recognize the sign that, something just wasn't right. And so I thank God for those individuals back then, because, here it is many years later. The little things that they did, a Charles Watson or a Coach Eddie Joseph, who was my first basketball coach. The integral parts they played just to, if nothing else, help me realize that my life didn't matter, and that, hey, we see you, young man. And I can honestly say, here all these many years later, I didn't disappoint them. My teenage years were different. I was reckless. I was definitely reckless. Extremely promiscuous. God, I love me so well. And I was just wilding out. I didn't realize at the time though how what I deemed as what I thought was normal behavior, how it was actually kind of killing me spiritually. Even though I had got introduced to God at an early age, I didn't know him in the manner, whereas the importance of just having that relationship with him, and how his word would later play out in my latter years, where I could still have a bright future. I wasn't able to really see how the behavior that I was exemplifying was killing me spiritually. I got connected to a local church in Panama City, Florida, in my early teenage years, and I met my bishop, Bishop James Kelly, and he treated me like I was his own son, him and his lovely wife. They poured into me. They love me unconditional. They always tried to speak into my life, and I wouldn't say I was rebellious or anything like that. It wasn't that. It was just, again, that trust had been broken, and so And not by them, but like I said, just like I said, what happened to me early on in life, I shut down. And here it is, this awesome man of God is trying to speak into my life, and I wasn't hearing him. And I know I must have given him a lot of gray hairs to the point where, I mean, when he finally lost that, I mean, I can attribute a lot of that to myself. But again, him and his lovely wife, I mean, they never stopped loving me. And here it is many years later, the things that he did speak into my life, um, I now carry with me. I eventually got to a point where I was more receptive. I had to go through a lot though, I had to bump my head a few times. And eventually, I did come around. I can honestly say that unconditional love is one act that can change any life, no matter where you are. That rejection that you go through, that feeling of feeling helpless or feeling unworthy, unconditional love will supersede that at any time. And that's exactly what happened on my behalf. Like I said, I did bump my head quite a bit. Found myself in all kind of crazy situations, and a lot of them, were unwarranted, unexpected, but they happen. I make no excuses. I will say that I believe there were a few times where God had given me an out, and I didn't take that outlet that was extended to me. I will tell you that, hey, if you play with fire, you will get burned. I learned that the hard way. But God's grace and mercy was very sufficient for me, because even though I found myself in a lot of compromising positions, God still saw me through it. Unhealthy relationships, just the wrong type of women. And I mean, I'm sitting back now and I'm just asking myself, like, the type of women that I was attracted to early on, I'm like, I have no idea as to what even piqued my interest. I mean, I'm looking back like now, like some of them, like, I don't even like you as a person. I mean, we had absolutely nothing in common. But actually, so something does come to mind. I do recall a situation early on. I was a teenager, church setting, and I had this interest in this young lady, and it was mutual. We used to chop it up on our phone quite a bit, and the interest, like I said, it was mutual. But I never forget. I remember calling her house, and her mom picked up the phone, and she always said in her own little way, I wasn't good enough for my daughter. And you gotta understand, I'm like, here it is, I'm this 16-year-old teenager. I was working, I was playing sports, excelling in my academics and so forth. I mean, I don't think at that particular time I had even had any run-ins with the law, but there was just something about that situation there that just tore me apart. And for years, I was just never the same after that. I mean, because the pattern of me was just one form of rejection after another. And to the point where I was just like, man, what's wrong with me? Like, why don't nobody love me? Or, all the things that just come along with that territory. And I was a nervous wreck. I was just messed up. And so for many years after that, yeah, all I can say is I just pursued just the wrong type of women. And I accepted certain things that were just unhealthy to my well-being. I ended up having 2 kids out of wedlock. First relationship with my first son's mother, I mean, we were young, we were both immature, we both had a lot of things to figure out. There's a lot of things to this day, that went on with my oldest son's mother that I never discussed with my son. I just kind of feel like, there were certain things that he just didn't need to know. So yeah, there's just a lot of things that I just try to protect my children from. I always made it a point where I want them to be better than me, and but I always just try to find a way to just kind of relay my life experiences to not just them but to the world, which brings me to my next point on my musical journey. What I decided to do is allow music to be my weapon of choice. I decided to just be transparent through my music and just to allow my circumstances to be not only a personal testimony, but just a little bit of hope to others who've gone through similar things like myself, that, no matter what you've gone through, you can get through it. So music became my medicine. It became the way I been it. Whether than lashing out in anger, things along those lines there, I just put the pen to the pad. And like I said, I wanted my music to be inspiration to others. And in doing so, God has blessed me along this journey. I mean, He's opened up doors that I could have never dreamed of. Even things He showed me in dreams. I mean, I'm still having a hard time just kind of grasping the level of exposure that He's given me, but God is faithful. And I want to continue just to write music to inspire others, to encourage others, to edify others who may have been, beaten, abused, ridiculed. You may feel like they're unqualified, they're unworthy. Just all those negative things that the naysayers say about you. I'm living proof. I am living proof that no matter what you've gone through, you can come back from. And that little timid individual that existed at age 10, or that passive individual that walked around as a teenager is no more. See, 4G is an individual that has come to realize who he is. Who am I, America? I'm a reflection of the one that created me. I was made in His image. His word says what He created was good. So for all those years while I thought I was a mess, I understand now. Now in His eyes, I'm perfect. And not perfect in a sense like I'm a perfect being, but what He created is nothing but perfection. And I know that sounds like a contradiction, because every day we're striving to be perfect. But you have to understand that if we're made in the image of God and He alone is perfect, then we're little G's. And when I used to walk around my head down, I made a personal choice where I'm gonna hold my head up high now. You know, I understand who I am. I understand that I'm more than a conqueror, that I'm not defeated, that that I'm not worthless, that I'm not rejected. Most importantly, and the most important thing that I've learned along this journey is that I am loved by Him. And now that I know that, that's all that matters to me. And so, in the same sense, I try to exemplify the same love to everybody I come in contact with. I believe everybody that you encounter in life, they fall into one of three categories, A, B, C. They're either an associate, their business, or they're in covenant with you. Everybody that I encounter, I want to be in covenant with. Now, I understand that that's not reality, but that's my goal. That's my personal goal. Because I made a personal choice that I'm going to love others even if they don't choose to love me in return. Those who going out there with it drive my name through the dirt. I love you, bro. I love you, sis. Those who said I'll never amount to anything. Hey, I love you, bro. I love you, sis. Those who said that I can never come back from the dark road that I was headed down. You know, hey, I was on the dark path for many years in my early 20s. I didn't know what I wanted to do. Got myself together. I had children out of wedlock, took care of them all. Went back to school, got 3 degrees. Shout out to Florida State University, go Noles. I around here making billboards now, magazine covers, owning real estate. I mean, the list goes on and on. And, you know, work with mainstream artists, gospel celebrities. Shout out to Kenton Jones for just showing me mad love, my man. I got much love and respect for you.
We're grateful for who God is. That list of names given, holy and mighty and all of that, that's just the beginning of things. When Jesus was jousting with the Pharisees, Jesus made it clear to them that when you start talking about me, you're talking about something that surpasses Abraham. Because before Abraham was, he said, my name is I am. In other words, when you open up the book to look at all of the good things that a person can possibly be mighty and triumphant and awesome.